I'm Nick Palmisano, and this is the Bad News Network. Tragedy struck Sri Lanka last week with a series of coordinated suicide bombings that appear to have been targeting Christians, or as the Democratic Party likes to call them, Easter worshippers. The attacks were reportedly carried out by a radical Islamic group, National Tawhid Jamaat. 6 blasts occurred Sunday morning at 2 churches, 2 hotels, and 2 public attractions, killing 290 people and injuring over 500 more. Investigators confirmed that the attacks were carried out by Sri Lankan suicide bombers that were radicalized. Controversy has been building around reports that the intelligence community had warnings that these attacks might occur but took no action to prevent them. This news not only infuriated Easter worshippers, but also Jehovah-likers, Buddha belly rubbers, cow lovers, and Muhammad homeboys. In international news, an American Bitcoin trader and his girlfriend are being hunted by Thai immigration officials and are being threatened with the death penalty. The two had built a seastead floating home some 13 miles off of the Thai coast and had been advertising their free living away from all authority. The Thai government declared that a threat to national security and has allegedly sentenced them to death.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Rather than turn themselves in, the couple has disappeared, which essentially is like telling the Thai government to Phuket self. In entertainment news, Game of Thrones and Avengers Endgame have people everywhere excited, as 2 of the largest properties in the world are coming to their dramatic conclusion. It is, however, a bittersweet moment for those people that like to proclaim loudly on social media that they've seen neither show, as their run of being a special group of nonconformists comes to an end. A literal Mexican standoff occurred this week as 6 Mexican troops apprehended 2 U.S. military personnel that were doing border support operations. Apparently, the 2 U.S. soldiers were on the wrong side of the fence, but in the right country when the small contingent of Mexican troops rolled up on them. U.S. Northern Command confirmed that the troops had been on U.S. soil when the incident occurred. The 2 reportedly complied and de-escalated the situation that bordered on being an incident, but was really just a mix-up. However, 40-year-old dudes that can't run a mile or do a push-up were super pissed because if they were in the same situation, they would have 100% just shouted, "Ride or die!" and fought in place until their death while simultaneously destroying U.S.-Mexican relations. Because that's what heroes do. In Ukrainian news, TV show comedian Volodymyr Zelensky has won the Ukrainian election in a landslide victory. Ironically, Zelensky's TV show character won the presidential election as an everyday history teacher that rose up against the status quo. The TV show Servant of the People became Zelensky's party name when he decided to run for president. Critics are stating that the oligarch owner of the TV show is the real puppet master controlling the strings of the new president. These are allegations that Zelensky emphatically denies. We look forward to seeing how this unfolds on the next episode of Ukrainian Politics. But you know, you really have to question a country that elects somebody with no previous experience based solely on a character that they've played on television. In Gosh, We Really Need Dexter news, a St. Louis man named Deontay Taylor is being charged with hiring a hitman to kill the 10-year-old boy that he molested 3 years ago. Taylor was arrested last November on 3 counts of statutory sodomy with a then 7-year-old boy. While in jail, he convinced his 66-year-old boyfriend to hire a hitman to kill the 10-year-old boy and his family. The hitman turned the offer over to the police, and Taylor is now being charged with multiple counts of conspiracy to commit murder along with everything else. When you're so evil that a hitman is turning you in, you have to stop and wonder, is this really worth thousands of dollars of taxpayers' money, or should this just be solved with a few yards of saran wrap and some zip ties? In a historic first for the American justice system, a major pharmaceutical company has been criminally charged in the fight against the opioid crisis. Rochester Drug Cooperative, along with their former CEO and CCO, are being charged extensively. Some of the charges include conspiracy to violate narcotics laws, conspiracy to defraud the United States, and willingly fail to file suspicious order reports. The company has agreed to admit to the charges levied against it and gave a half-hearted speech about how they were sorry and they hope to do better in the future. They will pay a $20 million fine and they agree to outside oversight. How very generous of them. $20 million? These guys are drug dealers that have ruined the lives of thousands of people. And not in the way that the rabble is always accusing Big Pharma of being drug dealers. These guys are actual drug dealers. This isn't pot, folks. Some people get addicted to opioids after only a few uses, and these guys were dumping this stuff off to people they knew were illegally peddling them while circumventing the law. Some towns had local drugstores that were prescribing more opioids than they had people in town. This business needs to be dissolved, and these two animals need to be sitting next to the pedo hitman hirer when we pull the saran wrap out. In the I can't use the appropriate number and type of swear words that I want to use because Facebook will block us news, presidential candidate Bernie Sanders has announced that he believes that all prisoners, including the Boston bomber, should be able to vote. For an analysis of this situation, we go to Boston News correspondent Matthew Amadeus Finney.
Thanks, Nick. My gut reaction is nothing short of a violent reaction to this putrid, out of touch, and insane take from a United States Senator. But that's dumb and accomplishes little, so I'll do my best to articulate. This millionaire politician whose platform is socialism, who lost his chance at the presidency before, not to an orange man from a TV show, but from his own party rigging the election because they know that he'll burn this country to the ground with socialism, is saying that if he is president, he'll reinstate the ability to vote to our worst felons. Felons like Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, who plotted and executed a plan to lay down a couple IEDs at the Boston Marathon, killing and maiming people. Killing kids like Martin Richard from Dorchester. Bernie wants to give the right to vote to guys like his brother, Tamerlan Tsarnaev, who was a coward. He was a Massachusetts amateur boxer who skipped out on all the tough fights, including my buddy Nick Nelson. He walked into the Lowell Golden Gloves, took a look at the competition, and headed right out the back door. Both were radicalized by people they knew over in Dagestan, even though they were here reaping the benefits of the higher education system. They saw fit to go to the Boston Marathon, lay down a couple homemade IEDs, and slip off while those things maimed and murdered friends, families, onlookers, and athletes. So yeah, let's give that guy that I can't say the name of because Facebook has censorship issues a chance to vote. See how that goes. Back to you, Nick.
Thank you, Matt, for your analysis. For those of you wondering what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez thinks about this, she thinks it's a great idea, as does Kamala Harris. Joe Biden has announced this week that he is throwing his hat into the ring for a round 3 attempt at a presidential election. This will be Biden's 3rd attempt to run for president after unsuccessful bids in 1988 and 2008. Biden has effectively framed his running as a battle for the soul of the nation. Biden sees himself as a rugged and handsy Viggo Mortensen going after the orange eye of Sauron. I think that makes Bernie Gandalf if Gandalf had dementia and didn't understand how anything actually works. Elizabeth Warren will want to be Legolas, but will probably make her Smeagol, and her Precious will be a minority scholarship at a top school. Anyway, Biden is likely the best chance that the Democrats have of defeating Trump, so naturally the party wants to destroy him in favor of people that, in no particular order, believe in up-to-the-minute of birth abortion, want to remove all border walls, want the Boston bomber to vote, and believe in socialism. I'm actually starting to wonder if Republicans are paying these people to run. Speaking of terrible campaigns, Hillary Clinton is back at it again, offering up her opinions about impeaching Trump. Shocking to some, she's actually arguing against going after impeachment because she knows that that's a fight that the Democrats are going to lose. She also called herself a victim of a Russian plot to weaken America, which just goes to show you that she prescribes the same thing that E4s everywhere believe in, which is deny everything, admit nothing, and make counter-accusations rather than admit any responsibility whatsoever. A 63-year-old Ohio man died after setting himself on fire by smoking while using an oxygen tank. Police arrived at the scene and immediately pulled him from his wheelchair and used a fire extinguisher to put him out. He was rushed to the hospital but passed away shortly thereafter. When asked about the incident, officers pointed out that oxygen can ignite and the man should have erred on the side of caution. When his neighbors heard the news, they were quick to exclaim, "Oh no!" But the officers on the scene immediately corrected them and said, "Actually, O2." Look, if we can't make a bad chemistry joke about a man that fatally set himself on fire, then why even do this show? Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez went full Ocasio-Cortez this week when she highlighted the VA as a beacon of exceptional health care. In addition to praising the VA, she actually held it up and said, "This is an example of what health care for all could look like." Surprisingly, this was poorly received by the veteran community that actually uses the VA. It's hard to tell why veterans feel this way, but possibly it could be the crushing bureaucracy, the lack of assessment and massive amounts of over-medication, the potentially life-threatening wait times, and just the general red tape and malaise of the entire organization. Ocasio-Cortez then shifted gears and stated that if the VA wasn't underfunded, it could work to its full potential. We completely agree. $200 billion is a razor-thin budget, and it's a shock that it's even functioning. Given the fact that an increased number of veterans are so frustrated with the system that they are literally killing themselves in parking lots, maybe her vision is that if she pushes this out to all Americans, a much larger group of people are going to get frustrated, kill themselves in parking lots, thereby reducing their individual impact on the environment, but also getting those cars off the road, reducing greenhouse gases, and saving the globe. Many of you saw the heroic Easter Bunny hop into action to support a woman that was being attacked outside of a bar this week. That bunny has a name, and it's Antoine McDonald. McDonald was bar hopping, literally and figuratively, when he saw an altercation between a man and a woman and decided to bunny hop into harm's way. He bounced on over to the man that was already losing the fight to the woman and added some eggs of his own with the 1, 2, 3 fluffy paws of death. The fight was quickly broken up by the police that were already patrolling the area. Unfortunately for McDonald, no good deed goes unpunished, especially when you're a felon wanted by the police. Apparently, McDonald has a slew of offenses already, including armed robbery and breaking into vehicles, and already had outstanding warrants in New Jersey. Naturally, being a master criminal, he decided to keep a low profile and not draw attention to himself. And finally, in Florida news, a man in Fort Walton Beach attacked a mattress with a bedpost and his bare hands because he firmly believed that a man was hiding inside of it. He did all of this, naturally, while holding his girlfriend hostage. Later, the man admitted that it was possible that he had been smoking methamphetamine. And with that, I'm Nick Palmisano, and this is the Bad News Network. Our news is at least as bad as the news you're getting already, and I've got to tell you, the death I did not see coming in Avengers Endgame was when